What is the connection between power and presence, and why does this channel bear that name? Can your very presence actually grant you power? And what has all that got to do with the mind, technology, and the future? Stay tuned, because in this little video, I'm going to begin to answer some of those questions, while at the same time letting you in on some of the secrets about what is coming up here. Let's begin by considering something confronting. The possibility that your mind is not your own, and that it's been stolen by someone else, who has kindly replaced it with a fake soul that isn't even yours. Consider the scenario in Douglas Adams' book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where the protagonist, Arthur Dent, is a hapless chap who is whisked off-world just before the Earth is blown up. At one point, two pan-dimensional, hyper-intelligent mice, yes, I did say mice, decide they need vital information from Dent's brain. That's because in the story, the Earth was created by a super-smart computer, meaning the answer to life, the universe, and everything might be found on Arthur's brain, which is pretty much the only thing left of the Earth. The mice kindly tell Arthur that they need to dice his brain to get the info. When Arthur nervously protests that he would like to keep his prefrontal cortex for himself, the mice reassure him that he needn't worry because they will give him a nice new electronic brain and program him not to miss the old one. Now, as it happens in the story, there's an emergency and the mice don't have the opportunity to mash Arthur's brain. But speaking purely hypothetically, given that The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is pure fiction, honest, if the mice had mashed his brain and given him a new one, how would he have ever known that it had happened? More to the point, if someone has taken your mind and replaced it with a new fake mind, how would you know? As Elon Musk asked not long ago, quote, "Who wrote the software running in your head? And are you sure you actually want it there?" Welcome to the Power and Presence channel, where we're going to be exploring questions and scenarios like this one. Only, and not meaning to make you too nervous, these scenarios are not only going to be entirely fictional. My name's Marcus T. Anthony, and I'm a practicing futurist, author, and public commentator. And this channel's name comes directly from my latest book, which is called Power and Presence, Reclaiming Your Authentic Life in a Digitized World, which explores these kinds of ideas in depth. In fact, these kinds of subject matters are what I teach and research here about in the Beijing Institute of Technology in Zhuhai, China. Yes, that's right, I did say China, but don't worry. They let me out of the building twice a year for exercises and stretching. Yeah, that's a joke. I'm actually doing quite well here. I can even make fun of the differences between men and women without being booted off campus, unlike some places I could mention but won't. But I do digress. What this short video is all about is letting you know what you'll discover here in the coming days, weeks, and months as I ramp up production mode and get this channel rocking. So please subscribe, ba-ting, and like this video, because this will give the algorithm a little kick up the butt. After all, we have to show the machines who's boss around here. Which is another theme you're going to see me regularly talking about here. What I'm alluding to is how our lives have become deeply enmeshed with technology and with the agendas of the institutions that control those technologies. Some might even say we've become lost. Now, big tech critic and social media commentator Tristan Harris has observed that there are currently two distinct approaches to creating and regulating social media. Harris suggests that these represent two kinds of brain implants, the Chinese and the Western. In the Chinese approach, Harris says, and I quote, "You put the brain implant into society and you get a more authoritarian, top-down controlled society, with AI basically guiding and directing human behavior at scale in a more organized and coherent fashion," unquote. Now, because it is the Chinese who are proponents of the system, people in the West tend to be critical of it, or at least suspicious, After all, we Westerners generally have a negative impression of the Chinese government. But not me, of course. But Harris goes on to outline his criticism of the current preferred Western approach, where he says, I quote again, "We don't have a government that's controlling the tech or the people. We have instead private technology companies who basically design the brain implant for maximum engagement. So imagine the neurosurgeon comes to you, puts a brain implant in, and the business models, whatever, is going to get all those neurons firing on each other as much as possible. Why would you expect anything less than the patient to basically fall on the floor with epileptic shock, foaming at the mouth?" Unquote. That's a pretty grim metaphor, isn't it? Tristan Harris seems to be suggesting that the Western approach to creating and regulating social media severely damages human beings just as much as the Chinese system, only in a different way. The conversation thus suggests a dilemma. Do we regulate the internet like the Chinese and probably contradict the foundations of the Western ideals of free speech and an open society? Or do we allow a more laissez-faire system, which is aligned with the Western Enlightenment ideal, but which potentially indirectly creates greater chaos and suffering? Now, I'm not going to try to answer this question entirely in this video, and arguably it is a question that nobody's going to answer definitively in a single video or in 100 videos, but it's just one of the issues that I'm going to be addressing here on the Power and Presence channel in the future. You will find my approach a little bit different from some others. My brand of futurist thinking is what I call deep futures. Futurism isn't just about trying to predict the future. That's a fool's game. As Arthur C. Clarke once noted, quote, "Prediction is difficult, especially about the future," unquote. So the themes you'll see covered here include the relationship between technology and the human mind, or spirit if you prefer. How is consciousness changing or even evolving in the digital age? Is AI really going to become conscious? And are we really going to be able to upload our minds onto computers and live forever? Or at least till someone hacks the server. What opportunities are there in all this generative AI that we're seeing during this AI explosion, as I call it? Rather than seeing it all as a negative force attempting to steal our souls, how can we use the technology to create better stories for us as individuals and as societies? Who's really getting to control all this information, technology, and power? Who's really controlling these things now? And how can we make sure that we do not give our power away to those people and institutions? In other words, how can we make sure that we lead the technology and that it does not lead us? What ideas and perspectives, what ways of knowing and being are we tending to forget in the current age? For example, I've long been talking about what I call integrated intelligence, the human mind that connects non-locally with other people, places, and times. Will our new technologies amplify or crush such latent human abilities? Finally, is there such a thing as the human spirit? And if so, how can we allow it to flourish during the digital age? Now, there are new stories breaking every day in these subject areas. There are new technologies, new ideas, new thinkers, and I plan to cover many of them here. So please stay tuned to this channel as the journey begins. See you again in the near future.